welcome to Still Speak Podcast. So a few nights ago, I brought you the urgent story of missing Noah Claire, 3 years old, and missing Amber Claire, 16 years old. And it's believed that they are with Jacob Claire. He goes by Jake. He's 35. Jake is the father of Noah, and Amber is his niece. She is his biological niece because she is his brother's daughter. Now, in that video from a few nights ago, I brought you the basics of the story. I wanted to get it out there, get their faces and names circulating. Well, now we have more information, and with this information, it is now more unsettling and rather scary. I'm going to pick up in this one talking as if you already know the basic story. If you don't know the basic story, then I would say pause here, go listen to that video first, come back, so that I don't have to repeat all of it again. So one of the things that we've now learned is that at some point, Jake was in the army and he went AWOL, which is, if you don't know what that means, is he stopped showing up, which you can't do in the military. Once you sign, they basically own you. It's unclear when he did this or when he was in the army. It sounded to me like he went AWOL under a year after joining the military. Some people are saying it was a year ago he went AWOL, but I'm not quite sure about that. I think that what one of the family members said was misinterpreted. Regardless, this kind of information gives us a little bit of backstory about Jake. I also saw a family member say that the only gun that they're aware of him owning is a pistol, but he does own one. That being said, if you go to his Instagram and Facebook accounts, he has many, many, many pictures of him with guns, shooting guns, etc. Much more powerful type of guns. Nothing against guns, trust me. I'm not saying anything about that. Some people are really into guns, right? But I think given the context that he is on the run with 2 minors, it's something that we need to keep in mind. And at minimum, he owns a pistol. So he may be armed. And he's definitely comfortable with guns for sure. Like I said, there's many, many pictures. You can look at it. I will actually link his Instagram and Facebook on the description of this video. We also learned that Amber has a seizure disorder and does take medication. And despite the fact that this apparently was planned because she left a note, it's really scary that she left her medication behind. And if she has a seizure, it could be life-threatening. And she would be aware of that, so it's really alarming to me that she did not take it with her. Amber's mom spoke out and said that, she was a good kid, or is a good kid, she doesn't get in trouble or detention or suspension, that she's more of like a bookworm type kid, keeps to herself, doesn't talk back. And so this is really out of character for her, which I think speaks to Jake grooming her into leaving with him, receiving attention, causing her to do something she wouldn't normally do or is out of character of who she is. Definitely influenced. In my last video, I talked about the fact, it's not a fact, but we talked about that there was a possibility they were seen at the Peanut Festival, and I was in Alabama, I believe. And it turns out that police do not believe that it was them, that it did not look like them. So we could kind of cross that off the list. Some family members believe they actually might be in the Smoky Mountains because of something that Jake had told a friend about wanting to take his son to the Smoky Mountains. And if you recall in my last video, we talked about him being the type of person who's into hiking, and he had a post about, hidden trails where there wasn't a lot of people, and he is familiar with off-the-grid type of living. And, he was in the Army for a period of time, and so he might have some basic skills to back up living off the grid. Now, the next thing I'm going to say, I want you to understand that this is in no way defending him. I want to make this very, 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 very clear, because I'm not. Especially the fact that we know so much about an inappropriate relationship with Amber. You know what? I want to rephrase that. I don't want to call it a relationship at all. This little girl is 16 years old and it's his niece. Okay? It's not a freaking relationship. So let me rephrase that. Given what we know about him and Amber having inappropriate text, which resulted in her leaving with him, I definitely do not want to come across as though I am defending him, because I'm not. So, that leads me to say this. When you look at his Facebook and his Instagram, okay, it does appear that he loves his child very much. That being said, photos can be very deceiving. It does not give you the entire, story, especially on social media. That is a fact, okay? It can be very deceiving. And so, on the outside, it does look like he loves his son very much. And it leads you to think, like, okay, maybe he loved him so much, he just took off because he wanted to spend more time with his son. Maybe he won't hurt him because he actually really loves him. But I want to mention that he also has a daughter who is older than Noah, and he did not take that child or even attempt to try to get her to go with him. And he even seemed to love her very much in pictures. Now, I'm not putting her pictures in my video. I want to maintain her privacy. She is a minor. That being said, I will link the Facebook and Instagram, and you can see it on your own. I don't want it in my video, okay? Because his Facebook and Instagram are already circulating. I just don't want to put her face out there even more with my video. So this has led some creators out there to say, oh, I don't think he's going to hurt her. I think they're going to be, or her and him, I think it's going to be that they're going to be found and they're going to be safe and everything's going to be okay. And you know what? I really, really hope that's the case. And I really do hope that he won't harm them. The issue that I'm having here, though, is this was really risky to do, to make a plan and to flee with two minors, okay? You have warrants out for your arrest. And this shows me that he is capable or possibly desperate enough to do anything. And desperate times can cause what? Desperate measures. And now the story is becoming very public, right? And he's got 2 warrants out for his arrest. And it's very likely that after this situation and ordeal, that if he's caught or found, he's going to lose custody of his son now. So for the people out there saying, oh, he might just be a father who wanted to see his kid more and he felt like he had to take off because he didn't want to lose his son, I understand your train of thinking there, but running is not helping, because now he actually just basically gave up all custody to his son, because once this all gets handled, if nothing bad happens, that's probably what's going to happen, okay? Because who the heck's going to trust that he's not going to do this again? So this isn't the answer if that was his reasoning behind it. Now that leads me to Noah's uncle, Noah's mom's brother, disclosed that just a few months prior to this, Jake's family found out about the inappropriate text with Amber, and they tried to put a stop to it, and they cut ties with Jake, okay? And this uncle made a very good point, and I think I agree with him. He said that he feels that the family, Jake's family, was going to tell Noah's mother, and that he was going to lose custody of Noah if she found out, and so he got worried and took off. And if his theory is accurate, which to me sounds very accurate, that speaks even more to his desperation, and that can make a dangerous situation. There's such a thing as loving somebody to the point that, yes, you would hurt them. And, you know, you think about murder, suicide type of situations where somebody just wants to die, and so they kill their family members so they can all go out together. And I hate to speak like this, and I definitely don't want the family to hear this type of talk. But it is concerning, and it is something we have to consider. And the only reason why I'm even saying this is because I want to light the fire under you on how urgent this is to share, and hope and pray that these children are found soon and safe. I don't know if when you were a teen, if you were maybe dating somebody that you weren't supposed to be dating, or your parents didn't approve of, and maybe you would sneak out to go see them. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this in movies. It's like the parents like, no, you're not seeing them anymore. That's it. We're cutting ties for you, blah, blah, blah. And that child and the person they were seeing comes up with this idea of like, well, we can't be together because my parents won't allow it, so we're going to take off together, or we're going to do something really extreme together so we can be together forever, because you're young and you just don't know, you know, there's a reason why your parents don't want you dating that person, right? Usually it's a valid reason. So from Amber's perspective, she's a 16-year-old girl, okay? And 16-year-old girls are very impressionable and can oftentimes, and I don't mean to say this in a mean, negative way, but we can be naive. I was once a 16-year-old girl. I was extremely naive to the world, to the real world, to life, to what it's like to actually be an adult. There was things that my parents would say no to that I didn't understand because I was a teen and I just wanted to do what the hell I wanted to do. And I felt they were being unfair and, et cetera, et cetera. And then as you age, you look back on that period of time and you go, oh, that's why my parents didn't want me to do this. And that's why my parents didn't want me to hang out with that person. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Jake likely knew that about Amber and knew that she would be easy to convince or possibly manipulate into going along with this plan. Now, we don't know what these texts said. It doesn't sound good, okay, at all. And I've pondered if he was saying things to her that maybe weren't true, but was trying to win her over so that she can accompany him on this trip so that he would have help with Noah. Or was this really true and there was some really bad things in these texts? The only thing that I get hung up on here is that I think that if it was something pretty gruesome or detailed, that's a better word, detailed, that possibly the parents would have pressed charges, but I'm not totally positive on that. I'm just speculating. This is an overall really scary situation, and you can tell by the family members and the moms, they are terrified of what is going on here. I think they had some idea that he may pull something like this, but are still stunned that he actually went through with it. So now somebody posted one of the letters that Amber left, and this one was to her sister. They blocked out most of the letter and only left some of it. And it says, "I'm leaving you a box that Uncle Jake gave. It has his feathers in it, these really cool rocks, and a bag of his cologne in it. If you ever get lonely and miss me, just look up at the stars. It's so hard to read. I'll always be looking back. I know this is gonna be really hard for you, but if it makes it easier, make me I think it says grave. I really hope that's not what it says, but I think it does. It looks like GRAVE. I'll put it in the video, but I'm pretty sure it says grave. The last few weeks, I've gotten more and more time in with you guys for a reason. And at the bottom, it says XOXO Amber. And at the very top, it says, if you get my phone too, and it's dated the 5th of November. So this letter is really unsettling, right? This girl is saying that she spent a few weeks time with her family, and she was doing it for a reason. So this plan has been going on for quite some time. And if this does say grave, wow, that's so freaking scary. There's a picture on the Instagram of Jake and Amber, and she's sitting on his lap. I can understand her sitting on his lap when she was like 5, but this looks like a semi-recent picture, and it's really creepy, guys. It just really is. It's really creepy. I just don't think that at 16 years old I would have been sitting on my uncle's lap. I just don't think so. You'll see that on the Instagram if you go and look at it. Now, Noah and Amber do not have passports, we learned from the family, so it's reasonable to believe they are still in, the States. And given the fact that at minimum he owns a pistol, if you do see them or the Subaru, which please study that Subaru, it stands out like a sore thumb with the stickers and the damage, do not approach. It can be a very dangerous situation. And he left his phone behind, and she left her phone behind. But if they're keeping up with the news in some way, they will see the locations that people are checking for them. So he may avoid those areas. If he's watching, he may have just completely cut off from all types of, TV, social media, and smartphone, etc. So we want to be looking everywhere, because at this point they can be anywhere. It's been over a week now. It's been 9 days. This is really a sad story because, not that this really matters, but Jake is a good-looking guy, and he's got this beautiful son, and he seemed to have a lot of talent. There's a lot of pictures of him on Instagram, like building stuff, and you just think to yourself, like, why? Why are you doing this? What caused you to do this? You seem to have a lot going for you. And so that's why I have to wonder if there's some type of mental break here, or he just really was desperate and felt he had no other choice but to leave out of fear of losing his son. But then, as I said earlier, that makes me scared, because how far is he willing to take that desperation? That's my concern. So again, I just want to ask you to please share. I put it on my TikTok, my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Instagram under Still Speak Pod. You can share it from there, or share this link, or you can take a screenshot of the pictures that I put in the video and share that. And let's hope that someone spots them and that they're safe, and that he could be taken into custody and the children returned back home safe, without incident, and fast. So just as a quick recap, we have this alarming letter from Amber. We now know that he was in the Army and went AWOL at some point. We know that it was not them at the Peanut Festival. We know that this is totally out of character for Amber. We know the family believes that they may be in the Smoky Mountains. We know that he is very familiar with guns and living off the grid, and possibly even has his gun, a pistol, with him. And we know that, just 2 or 3 months ago, his family cut ties with him over his relationship, or his attempt at a relationship with a minor who's his biological niece, I should say. I keep saying relationship, but it's not the appropriate word, which put him on a track to do this. At least that's how it appears. It appears like that happening caused him to have some type of concern that led him to believe that this was his only way. And what's sad about this is that if that's true, he, in his mind, probably believes he's doing this for his son, when in reality, it's just really selfish. Because now the end result will be that if you are caught, you're most likely going to lose custody of your son, which will be damaging to your son in the long run, because now he will not have his father around. This is not the answer. Now, the chances that this man is going to hear this video is like slim to none, okay? It ain't happening. It's definitely not happening. That being said, I am going to tag him. So in the very, very, very off chance that he does hear this, Jake, this is not the answer. You're only making it worse. Turn yourself in. Let the kids go home. As a matter of fact, I might make a hashtag that says, Jake Claire, this is not the answer. And when I say share, I don't mean this video, because this is just me kind of getting my thoughts out about the new information we have. I would much rather the focus be on the basic story, what happened, when they went missing, what car they're in, what they look like, what their features are, etc. Because that's what's most important, is that we help to find them and get them home safely. This was just to update you on some information and to just talk about it a little bit. If you're the praying type, please pray for these kids, and let's help this family out the best that we can. I know that Amber's family has a GoFundMe, and so does Noah's family. And mainly it's for, who can go to work right now? I couldn't even imagine. You can barely make it to work every day mentally. Could you imagine going to work and you have a child missing, especially a 3-year-old? So it's basically to help support them through this, or if they have to travel somewhere, if they're found, or need to go check out a specific area and things like that. I'm sure some of the money might even go to getting them some meals if they can even eat. So it's one less thing they have to worry about. And then as far as Amber's family, I saw that right before I came on to record that her father actually lost his job because he didn't go to work for 2 days because he was following up on a lead. So now they're really pushing the GoFundMe. And because I was a 16-year-old girl one time in my life, feels like a different lifetime ago, but I feel bad having to make a video where I have to mention inappropriate text with her uncle. And the reason for that is because, and I said this in another video of mine about another story, is we often forget that we're talking about real life people. And she is a minor and she's a teenager, which is one of the hardest times in our lives, is being a teenager. At least for me it is, right? So many emotions. And I hate to think that her schoolmates and friends are now aware that she was, receiving or exchanging inappropriate text with her uncle. I just know that kids and teenagers can be pretty brutal, and I feel really bad that information's out there already, and it does not bring me any sort of pleasure to even have to talk about that. And I feel bad that it's out there, but it's out there and it is important to the story, right? And, speaks to how urgent this is. At the same time, I can't help but to think, if she's found safe, what the fallout from this is going to be for her. And I don't know. I feel bad even having to talk about it, to be honest with you. At least with little Noah, he can just come back and be safe in the arms of his mother, completely unaware, right? Because he's a little boy, and he's probably so confused right now. Oh my gosh, he's probably wanting his mom, and he's just so confused. He doesn't have a clue how complex this is. He just doesn't understand. He's a little boy, an adorable little boy. And I've mentioned on here, I have 3 kids. And I've only spent 2 nights away from my eldest, 1 night away from, my eldest 1 night, my middle 2 nights, and my youngest never been apart from him at night. And I think about Noah's mom, and I just cannot fathom what she's going through right now. Torment is probably an understatement. So I want nothing more than for little Noah and Amber to return to their families safely. So I'm going to end there instead of babbling on more. Again, if you share from my social media accounts or the original YouTube video. Let's help these families out, guys. Until next time. Oops, I forgot to mention one other thing. In my original video, I mentioned that, this appears to have been planned, and it wouldn't shock me if Jake thought about, changing his appearance, Amber's appearance, and little Noah's, which is sad because Noah has a beautiful set of curly locks, and I have a fear that he might have, cut it off or whatnot. And it appears that somebody else had similar thought because they actually did some pictures with different hairstyles on little Noah and on Jake. And I'm going to be putting those in the video. You'll definitely be able to tell what's the real picture and what's a fake to show a possibility of what they may look like. And I thought it was really clever, so I'm putting it in the video. That's it. All right. Bye-bye.